Hi. So I've decided to do this video and I'm going to try and smile as much as I can because I tend to not smile. So I hope you're doing well during this pandemic situation. And I know that there are a good bunch of you who are wondering how one might set up a studio. That could probably arise from the fact that there's so many people out there now putting up songs, just recording themselves talking about stuff. So if you've ever wondered how does one set up a studio, I'd like to walk you through it. Now, why should you listen to me? I've had about 15 plus years experience in this field, and I say 15 plus years because before the 15 years, I used to dabble with it, and therefore, like you, I'm a I used to be a beginner and didn't know where to start. Um, I had a computer and kind of tried to figure things as I went along, and then of course I ended up with a company that deals with this kind of stuff. So yeah, so in the 15 years that I was 14 years that I was with the company, I picked up a lot and was happy to share it with all of my clientele, and now you. So let's get into it. um, it's good to understand what the recording process is. If you want to set up something, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to sing a song, if you want to read poetry, or just do a podcast, the setup is pretty much the same, across the board. um, I suppose I would bring put forward to you the analogy of a tape recorder. um, if you're wondering what that means, it back in our time, it used to be a little device in which you put tapes and you press the red button to record, and then you pressed another button with a square in it to stop, and then you um, re- rewound the tape and press play and heard your recording back. So essentially, it's the same method, but if I were to dissect it, um, I would get the device, um, the recording medium, the tapes, um, the microphone into which you speak, and then of course you have the speakers so that you can hear what you've recorded. So it's four components. So in like manner, what you would need is one, the device or the computer. Um, it can be any computer, but it ought to be something that is fairly recent, because you don't want to spend your time trying to make it work for something as basic as recording your voice or recording an instrument. So I'm probably thinking about maybe in the last 5 years or so. It should be fairly recent. If it isn't, it's fine. Just make sure that you have enough memory in it, enough RAM. I think 8 GB to 16 GB of RAM should be enough. You should have enough space in your hard drive as well for the software that you will be installing. Second, um, we need the microphone. Now, you could use any microphone, but I would really recommend that you look at condenser microphone. There are three types of microphones that are usually used in the recording industry. The first one is the dynamic microphone. Those are the microphones that are handheld and you kind of use it on stage or in live performance, yeah, or you use it in karaoke. The second the second type of microphone is the condenser microphone. The condenser microphone um, is a unique design, and it helps capture the entire spectrum of what you are trying to record, or your voice or your instrument. These are the microphones that are the most commonly used in professional studios. They therefore they cost a little bit more than a dynamic microphone, but the kind of quality you get out of a condenser microphone, I mean, That's the best you would get. The third type is a ribbon microphone, and these were used a lot back in the 50s and 60s because of its warm characteristics. They're not very cheap. In fact, they're more expensive than traditional condenser microphones, and they're not very tough either. So if you break it, it's a very expensive um, breakage you have on your hands. So, um, having said that, you could. It's up to you what you want to use. It depends on the kind of um, uh, medium, the kind of stuff you want to record. Whether it could be a spoken voice, or music, or playing an instrument, or having a podcast like an interview style. Um, for each of these, I mean, there could be. There's no real right answer to what type of microphone you ought to use, but I can tell you that the most common type is the condenser microphone. Enough about microphones. Let's move on to the next bit, which is the software that you use for your recording. Um, Now, just as you have things like Microsoft Word or Excel to kind of enter data and you make your letters and things like that, so in similar fashion, you need to have a software that does that for audio. So, software like this are called digital audio workstations, or DAWs, and what you can do with that is similar to what you can do with word processing software. You can cut, you can edit, delete, do all sorts of things. So in similar fashion, in a recording software, you would record, you can select what you've recorded, you can cut, delete, do all sorts of things. So the recording software acts as the tape part where you actually record whatever it is you want to record. And the beauty of this software is that most of them nowadays you can record them in multiple tracks or multiple takes. If you've ever worked with tape before, if you've ever recorded tape before, you'd know that you can only record one thing at a time, or rather, you can only record it in a linear fashion, unless you had a way of being able to layer your recordings one on top of the other. So the DAW makes it very easy for you to do that. So you could record your voice on one track, you could go back to the beginning and then record your guitar on another track, or another voice, and so on and so forth. So that is pretty much the heart of the system. And then after that, what we need are speakers or headphones in order to hear what you've just recorded. So mind you can't use, when I talk about speakers, you need to remember that I'm referring to reference speakers, right? You can't use your Bose system, for example, your home theater system, to listen back to what you've just recorded. And the reason being is home theater systems, or Bose systems, or JBLs or Harman, all of these, they're meant to make your whatever you play sound good. Okay, they've been tuned specifically to give you, for example, boosted lows, little bit of brilliance, for that cinematic effect, etc. So it may not give you a very accurate representation of what you've just captured or recorded, right? So you need something that will play back exactly what you put in. So these are the type of speakers, special speakers called reference speakers. And you get them in various types. You get them in semi-active or both active. You can get them in stereo configurations or 5.1 configurations, and again, as you get more professional in this field. Alternatively, if you don't think you're in a position to be able to use speakers, especially when you don't want to disturb people around you, you could use a pair of good headphones. Again, the headphones need to be referenced as well, all right? Because your Beats by Dr. Dre, it's not going to give you an accurate kind of replay of what you've just recorded, right? So anyway, so yeah, so that's the speakers and the headphones, and uh, all of this you can acquire all of this with the exception of the computer, and get yourself up and running for a little under the cost of a regular, popular smartphone. So if I were to kind of compute all of these costs of what I've just said, for example, the microphone will set you back about maybe about 400 to 600 dirhams, and you have the software, which will set you back about maybe 1,000 dirhams, a good decent one. Oh, there's one more thing I forgot to mention. That's with the software, this is also the heart of the system, which is the audio interface. Now, many people call this the sound card. The reason being, back in the 90s, you had things like Sound Blaster, by Creative, and they were meant to give you the multimedia experience. And they were basically these electronic circuit boards that you slotted into your desktop computer. If you were from that time, if you're not, then doesn't matter. So the audio interface, its one function is to take analog waves, like analog sound that comes out of your mouth, out of your instrument, and turn it into something that a computer will understand. And a computer can only understand on and off, or zeros and ones. So in order for it to understand that, the audio interface has something known as an AD-DA converter. So AD stands for analog to digital, and DA stands for digital to analog. So it does the bulk of the processing. Now you might be screaming at the screen and saying, Gustav, why can't I just use the sound card that comes inbuilt with my computer? Very good question. The reason for that is similar to the reason why you can't use Bose speakers or JBLs to listen to your output. It's because the sound card that you get with your computer, whether it's a laptop or a desktop computer, is tuned specifically for listening to your regular music or listening or watching movies and things. So it's tuned to a certain configuration, for want of a better word, and the kind of processing that your computer will need to do, therefore, in order to give you an accurate representation, will be a lot more if you didn't have an audio interface. So the function of an audio interface is to take on all of the processing of your audio and then just shoot it out again in the best quality possible. So an audio interface usually comes with two channels, or two inputs for you to connect your microphone and an instrument, or two microphones, and it usually comes with two outputs as well, so you can connect your two speakers to it. Something like that would cost you somewhere in the range of 800 dirhams, a good decent one. Now, if you were paying attention to all of what I've told you in terms of cost, this could easily come up to about 2,000 odd dirhams. And in this situation where money is not exactly your friend, you must be wondering, what am I talking about with getting a setup at less than a smartphone price? The good thing about these things is many manufacturers in the pro audio field have realized that you can get good quality for a lot less, and therefore they've decided to bunch a couple of things together. So you get what are known as bundles, and in these bundles you pretty much have everything. You've got the audio interface, you've got the software bundled with it, a free version of the software. You've got the microphone, a good quality microphone, and you've got a pair of headphones. And that is more than enough for you to get up and running. And they also include the cables as well. So one such product that I would highly recommend is this the AudioBox 96 bundle by Presonus, and you get it for like somewhere in the range of like 800 dirhams for the entire thing, and it's perfectly suited for those of you who are beginners, and it contains a microphone, a pair of headphones, and a 2-channel interface, so you can connect your microphone and an instrument, or if you have another microphone lying around in your house, then you can connect the second microphone as well. And you could use the software that comes with it, which is Studio One Artist by Presonus. It's a very intuitive digital audio workstation software, and it's not a very high learning curve. There are tutorials on how to use it, etc. So I hope this video has been helpful in some way or form. My name is Gustav, and I'm a pro audio consultant. And hopefully in upcoming videos, I will show you how to connect a bundle like this. If you want to get your hands on one of these bundles that I just mentioned, you can talk to my friends at DJ Corner, who would be more than happy to help you. They've got a very professional team of people working there. So yeah, so until next time, signing off. Goodbye.